everybody, welcome back to Harris Family Adventures. We're in Worcester. We are on our next stop, but we are about to go back to our home. So this is a video I've been thinking about and just hadn't ever gotten around to making, and Reece wanted to help me with it. So we are here today in our Worcester bedroom, my Worcester bedroom. We don't share one here. Stay tuned, subscribe if you want to go see the house tour. That's coming up in a couple of videos. But we're gonna kind of do a wrap up of Breckenridge. So if you're new here, my name is Heather.
I'm Reece.
This is Reece. Justin's downstairs working. We're a family of 3. I've taken the year off. We're doing some homeschooling and we're doing some traveling. We started with Breckenridge, Colorado, and we were there from Labor Day, so September 5th of 2022 through October 8th, 7th or 8th. Of October 2022. So we were there for 5 weeks. To preface this, so we are from Nebraska, so it's a neighboring state, Colorado. Our family tends to go to Breckenridge usually about once every 1 to 2 years. So we had been there several times in the past. We had stayed in condos in the past. Typically by our family, I mean with my parents and my sister and her family. So there's usually 8 or 9 of us. So we kind of started with something that we knew in this big adventure. So let's start with the good. Should we start with the good? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I asked Reece, I said, and we made our list so we didn't forget anything. I said, what was something that was good? What was something you liked about Breckenridge? And you said?
Mountains.
The mountains. So if you don't know, there's the Rocky Mountains. It runs along there, and just Colorado in general, there are the mountains, and they're pretty. Right? We did go on some hikes. We went on one really big hike. We didn't know we were getting into that. So yeah, so that was kind of a nice change for some people from the flatlands of Nebraska. Another good thing, if you saw like our house tour, is the fireplace. So we had a nice electric fireplace that we could just push a button and it would turn on, and I kind of wanted the fireplace on all the time. Even if it was really hot, I still wanted the fireplace on because of the ambiance of it. So we liked having a fireplace. Here's a spoiler alert for you. Again, subscribe if you want to see the house tour of this house. There is a fireplace, but it doesn't work. That's kind of a negative. Another thing is that it just seemed really homey. The condo we stayed in, but just kind of the town in general. Breckenridge itself is a pretty small town. There's Main Street that runs alongside of it, and there's a couple of other somewhat busier streets, but it's a pretty small town. At the end of the day, you can walk from one end to the other without much of a problem. Yes, there's really nice houses up in the mountains. You're probably not gonna walk all the way up there, but the town itself is kind of that homey, small town feeling.
It's all together.
It's all condensed together. And the last one, because I'm 40, this is what 40-year-old moms get excited about, was the grocery store. I really like the grocery store. I had kind of worried that since there's really only one store, there's a little general store on Main Street, but that's not good. Since there's only one store, it was gonna be overpriced and all that kind of stuff, but it was smaller than we're used to, but it still had a really good variety of things. I just joined, it's a Kroger's, the name was City Market. I just joined the City Market Rewards program, which obviously they get your information, but it didn't cost any money, and using that, you can get like digital coupons, and it ended up being cheaper than groceries at home. So those are some good things about Breckenridge. Some not as good of things. So I asked Reece, what was something that wasn't as good? And he had said,
not enough to do.
Not enough to do. Now, there's a couple of things to this. Again, we were there for 5 weeks. 5 weeks. And you like nature. I don't like nature. If you think you could go on a hike every single day for 3 months and be over the moon happy, go to Breckenridge for 5 weeks. If you think you could go on one hike a week and you'd be okay with that, that's about what we did. We would do maybe 1 or 2 a week. I'm not a huge hiking fan. We met some people that had traveled there specifically to like hike the 14ers, and they were loving it. They were only there for 2 weeks, and they had gotten there so that they could kind of acclimate and climb a bunch of them. They're preparing for Everest. So that would be a dream come true. For us who aren't huge fans of nature, who aren't huge hiking people, that is not a huge attraction to us. And our big two things to do were hiking and shopping. Main Street, if you've seen the walk with us along Main Street, you know there's tons of shopping, but most of the stores kind of have similar things. And once you've gone in the store, if you go the next week, it doesn't really change, or the week after that, or the week after that, or if you're there for 5 weeks, the week after that. So there is shopping to do, there is hiking to do, but if you're there for 5 weeks, it doesn't quite keep the excitement going. It got to the point the last week, which we've actually become fans of cemeteries now. We've gone to some cemeteries here, but I was like, what to do in Breckenridge? We went to a cemetery and like walked around there for a bit because I was like, we gotta get out and get doing some things because we are introverted by nature. All three of the Harrises are, but I would say you and I, we cannot just stay inside all day, every day for days on end. So we ran out of things to do. I will say the altitude was a big negative, and I've addressed this before. Like I said, we've gone to Breckenridge in the past, and I was funny, my dad was just out here last week and we were still talking about it. None of us have ever struggled like we struggled then. And we've never gone in the fall though, so I don't know if it was like pollen and allergy stuff. We're not big allergy people, but maybe that combined with the altitude made the breathing so hard, but it was a struggle. And if you've seen the condo tour, you know we had to walk up several flights of stairs to get to our condo. There was no elevator. We also had an uphill walk from downtown. It was only a couple of blocks, but it just kind of made everything a little bit harder, the altitude. Not a problem here in Worcester, so that's a good thing. And then we have not close. And I think that's coming off of, since getting here, we've been to Salem, we've been to Scranton, we've been south along the coast, we've been to Plymouth, we've been to Cape Cod, we've gone north along the coast up Highway 1A a couple times up to Maine, we've been to Boston a couple of times, just today we drove to a mall, yesterday we went to Harvard. So all of those things take a couple hours of driving. And I think if we would have driven a couple hours from Breckenridge, we could have found more other things to do too. But it just seems like there's so much more to do here, and nothing seemed close. Now, like, I think about it again, Boston, it takes us about an hour and a half to get there. And if we would have thought of like, okay, an hour and a half from Breckenridge, we did go to IKEA one day. So we did drive into Denver, and I think that was about an hour and a half. We just had maybe a different mindset about it. So I will say that. I think Massachusetts was always going to be a little bit better for us because we had the experience of Breckenridge and we can kind of learn from that. And I was like, we need to like get out and get doing more things. So we've definitely gone out and got doing more things. So overall, out of 10, what would you give Breckenridge?
7.
A 7 out of 10. Now, I haven't checked in with Justin lately. I know I checked in with him when we got back, and he said he would give it an 8 out of 10. And it would be interesting. He will never make a video with me. I shouldn't say never. I don't. Do you think that would ever? No. He said he was surprised that he didn't really like working remotely from another location. I think if working is still most of your day, having your own office set up is still the best. But he gave it an 8 out of 10. He and I had that conversation about 5 days after getting back, and I said, if you would ask me the day we got back, I would have said a 5 out of 10. I'd had some time to sleep in my own bed and that type of thing, so it was like maybe like a 6 out of 10. So
6, 7, 8.
6, 7, 8. That's where I landed. We had already booked Massachusetts at that point and paid for it. I guess somebody had asked Justin, like, if you hadn't booked Massachusetts and paid for it, would you still be going? And Justin was like, no. And I don't think we would have come, but I'm glad we did. I'm glad we came. We only had like 2 weeks in between vacations. By the time you guys see this, we're home from both of them. And I guess vacations, that's a bit of a tricky thing too, because it's like we're on vacation, but we're also not on vacation. It's like we're on vacation because we're experiencing new things in a different place, but we're still waking up in time for Justin to work. We're still doing school. There's still laundry and cooking and grocery shopping and that type of thing too. So just finding that balance has been a really interesting adventure in the vein of our channel. So I think that's it for our wrap up of Breckenridge. Anything else you think to add?
No.
No. So that's it for our wrap up of Breckenridge. I have started the Worcester videos. Like I said, this is Worcester. You're seeing it here. You get a little preview. So subscribe if you want to see that and the adventures that we have out east. We'll see you next time. Bye.